Today's video is about Dave Rudabaugh, and he's probably the most famous person that rode with the most famous people on this earth that was a Old West figure. And he's probably rode with more people than anybody else, and nobody's heard of it. I mean, that's Christian Slater played his character in Young Guns 2, and through the whole movie, all he could do was say, "Haven't you heard of me? Haven't you heard of me? Haven't you heard of me?" And you know, after studying a little about him, you know, that's what I'm like. Why haven't we heard more about this guy? I mean, he's a very interesting character. He supposedly taught Doc Holliday how to shoot. He supposedly was in the Dodge City gang. He rode with Billy the Kid. He was with the Cowboys during the OK Corral shootout. He rode with, he was part of the Dodge City gang with Hoodoo Brown and Mysterious Mather. Rob Stagecoaches with Mysterious Mather. He did all kind of things. And how do we not know who this guy is? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, if you're a historian, you know a lot about him. If you know a lot of, but if you're just the average person that, knows Billy the Kid, knows Jesse James, a lot of different people, you watched a lot of movies, there ain't a whole lot out there about Dave Rudabaugh. There's more out there about Johnny Ringo. But Dave Rudabaugh was supposed to be the one guy that Billy the Kid was afraid of. He said nobody else was afraid. Billy the Kid wasn't afraid of nobody. But he was afraid of Dave Rudabaugh. Anyway, Dave Rudabaugh was born July 14th, 1854 in Fulton County, Illinois. And anyway, his criminal career started somewhere in the 1870s, 1860s, somewhere around there. And anyway, it was in Arkansas, and it was supposedly with Mysterious Dave Mather. There's no proof of that, but I've caught that from a couple of places that's where it's from. Wikipedia says that. Anyway, he was with Mysterious Dave Mather. Him and a couple other guys, robbed some stagecoaches. They got accused of murdering a guy. So Arkansas Dave headed up north. So he headed up South Dakota territory. That's when he met a couple of other guys. And in 1876, they robbed the Santa Fe Railway. That led to a whole bunch of different stuff because he had been hanging out at the time or a little bit before with Doc Holliday. And Doc Holliday supposedly taught him how to play cards, and he supposedly taught Doc Holliday how to shoot. Wyatt Earp got a commission to go find him for robbing that train. And he went several hundred miles to Fort Griffin. Dodge City issued that, warrant for him. And he went several hundred miles down to Fort Griffin. And when he got to Fort Griffin, he found his old friend, Shaughnessy. And you've heard the story about Wyatt Earp. He refereed that boxing match. There was this famous boxing match. Well, Shaughnessy was one of the fighters, and he was running a bar called the Beehive in Fort Griffin. And what happened with that was he come to him and he said, "Hey, have you seen Dave Rudabaugh?" Because that's who he knew. And Shaughnessy told him, "No, but I guarantee you Doc Holliday's sitting over there. He's seen him." So he went over there to ask Doc Holliday about it. Doc Holliday said, "Heck yes, I've seen him." He headed straight back to Kansas. So that started a lifelong friendship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, which wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Dave Rudabaugh. That's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. He's the one that put, Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp together was Dave Rudabaugh, Dirty Dave Rudabaugh, the guy that didn't take a bath, that probably smelled so bad you could smell him from miles away. There's no evidence that they called him Dirty Dave back then, but, that's what a lot of historians call him, is Dirty Dave. Anyway, Wyatt Earp sent a message back through the wire to Bat Masterson in Dodge City and told him to start looking for him because Dave Rudabaugh was, riding in. And that led to the capture of Dave Rudabaugh in Dodge City. Anyway, as Rudabaugh was riding up onto Dodge City, they decided to rob a train. So him and about 5 other guys. So Bat Masterson and John Joshua Webb knew that they were going to do it, and they went and caught them and thwarted the whole thing. And so Rudabaugh turncoat on all his people. And he gives state evidence against them, testified against the other 4. The other 4 went to prison or hung or whatever happened to them. Not sure exactly, but Rudabaugh walked. And then, I mean, that was pretty dirty right there, but he walked. And then Bat Masterson offered him a job working with the railroad with him and a few other people, which was, the lines were really crossed back then. You had crooks and you had sheriffs, and they might be a crook one week, might be a sheriff the next week. And so now he's working for the railroad, which is kind of like working for the law. And after just a little while, he was in the, the whole railroad wars thing. And after just a little while, him and John Joshua Webb got to be really close, because they were both in that working for the railroad thing. And anyway, they decided to move to this little town called Las Vegas, New Mexico, or at the time they call it Las Vegas. So if you watch Young Guns 2, you'll hear him say, Christian Slater will say it, I'm Dave Rudabaugh from Las Vegas. And it was after that, after he was in Las Vegas. And he joined a group of people who pretty much run the whole town called the Dodge City Gang. And it was headed up by Hoodoo Brown and several others. And they robbed trains. He robbed stagecoaches. He was a muscle. They had the sheriffs involved. They had the judges involved. They were, running both sides of the fence. Everything as corrupt and crooked as you can be. And anyway, that lasted for a little while until John Joshua Webb got arrested for killing somebody. And what do you know, Rudabaugh being his buddy, he tried to get him out of jail. And when he got out of jail, he killed a deputy, so Rudabaugh had to get out of town. So anyway, he took off into New Mexico territory. And that's when it gets really interesting. So anyway, when he got to New Mexico, he went to Fort Sumner. And that's when he hooked up with Billy the Kid and a lot of the former regulators there. And he rode with a whole lot of them for a while doing a lot of different things until they got caught. Him and Billy the Kid, and I think it was Billy Wilson, got caught, and all of them went to jail. And Pat Garrett's the one that arrested them. He took them back, put them in jail. You know the story. Billy the Kid escaped. And they sent Rudabaugh back to Las Vegas for killing that deputy. So anyway, he got stuck in jail with guess who? John Joshua Webb. And they tried to escape one time, and this guy got killed that tried to escape with them. And they tried again, and they got out. So Dave Rudabaugh, he took off. And guess where he went toward? He went straight toward Tombstone, Arizona, right after the Battle of the OK Corral. And it was, he didn't get on the side of Doc Holliday and the Earps. Nope, he sure didn't. He had a little bit of run-ins with the Earps in the past, but he did not get on their side. He got on the side of Curly Bill Brocious. He got on the side of Johnny Ringo. He got on the side of the Cowboys. And when he did, I guess he had an alt with Wyatt Earp or whatever about something in the past. I don't know, but he got on the side with the Cowboys and the Clantons and the McClowerys. And anyway, he was more than likely involved in a whole lot of stuff that went on with the Cowboys. He more than likely was involved with the murder of Virgil Earp, or Morgan Earp, and more than likely involved in the attempted murder of Virgil Earp. And anyway, he was also probably there when Curly Bill Brocious got shot at Iron Springs. I think it was Iron Springs. But anyway, after that, the Cowboys were all done, and nobody wanted to face the wrath of Wyatt, So I imagine Rudabaugh was the same. So he took off to Mexico. He crossed over the border, went and got to a place called, I think it's Paril, Chihuahua. I think that's how you pronounce it, Paril, Chihuahua. And anyway, he got into a card game with a couple of banditos down there, and the card game did not go well. Anyway, they got into a gunfight, and he shot two of them and wounded another one. I guess he shot three of them, killed two, and wounded another one. And so they ended up, he walked out of the bar, and he was shot, went looking for his horse, couldn't find his horse, walked back in the bar. They opened fire on him, killed him dead as yesterday, cut his head off with a machete, and then put it on a stick. And that's what happened to Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh. Anyway, that's the end of Arkansas Dave Rudebaugh. That was the end of Dirty Dave Rudebaugh. That was the end of Dave Rudebaugh from Las Vegas. There just wasn't no more Dave Rudebaugh. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not perfect. I am not a historian. I don't know everything. Probably made some mistakes. If I have, I'm sure somebody's going to point it out. Try not to be too mean if you can't help it. But if you can't help it, go ahead if that makes you feel better. And anyway, I hope you subscribe and like if you like the video. If you didn't like the video, say you didn't like the video. Anyway, hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you for taking part of our Old West Wednesdays. # Old West Wednesdays. Have a good day. Bye.